When I fight, I put on a mask, because the person you're fighting and the person I am now are not the same people. I'll try and be a different person, and even more now. With having time forced off, I want to be like a little bit more nasty and a little bit more. I've only got a couple of years left of fighting before, especially my body. I'm getting injured all the time. Like, I want to have a bang in these last couple of years.
I think people in the past have definitely noticed like the elbows are a big thing for you. In your last fight, obviously elbows played a massive part in your victory. How much training do you do on elbows, and how, because I take it you're not sparring full contact elbows, how do you work that into sparring in your game plan?
So we're like, if I'm using elbows in sparring, we'll mainly use them in the clinch. Or like if I'm really going to use them, I'll like really touch them more like my wrist area than anything. I'll never like put the point in, because obviously you just cut your training part and then you got no one to train with, have you? I do a lot of elbows on the pads, a lot of control stuff. I've been working this control stuff for maybe 2 or 3 years now. Like how I'm controlling my opponent's hands and how I'm controlling my opponent's forearms and stuff to be able to land the elbows.
There was a bit of controversy at the fight with the corner getting involved. When it comes to the legality of Muay Thai, just for an audience who might not be aware, what is a legal elbow in Muay Thai? What's the rule for elbows to the back of the head?
So elbows to the back of the head are allowed. If you're turning your back, it's the referee's job to warn you to stop you turning your back. I think the confusion came from, I think he's fought a lot of like kickboxing rules. So K1 kind of, and on that rule set and boxing rule set, if you turn your back, they're not supposed to strike you in the back. But Muay Thai's, it's a different beast, isn't it? It's if you turn your back, you're at risk. Protect yourself at all times. You're at risk of getting hit in the back. And the back strikes to the back are high scoring techniques. You make someone miss and kick them across the back. That should never happen, really. So it scores well. I'm a purist, me. I love Muay Thai I love everything about Muay Thai. I love all the traditional stuff as well as the actual sport itself. I like the first 2 rounds. You're not really doing much. You're sussing your opponent out, and then 3, 4, 5 are the important rounds. That suits my style as well. It always has done. It allows the fight to develop into more of a story, and obviously Muay Thai is scored holistically, isn't it? So what happens in the earlier rounds might change what happens in the later rounds, and it's like a race, getting to the end. It's like a full story. Imagine opening a book and seeing page 1 and 2 introduction, then the middle of the story, and then the end, the conclusion. So the problem with that you have to get into the sport before you kind of like enjoy that, you know what I mean? A casual viewer won't just go, oh yeah, it's the middle, you know, they're in the middle of the fight now, that's more important than the start of the fight. So that holds the sport back a little bit, because you almost have to have an understanding of the sport before you appreciate the sport.
One of those which has resurfaced recently is against Paddy The Baddy. How is it, looking back on that fight, to see what this global superstar this guy's become?
Yeah. Paddy's a character, isn't he? He's got a proper, like, he's able to sell anything, you know. He's that guy. He's easy to like when you look at him. But yeah, he's done really well. I think compared to like in the Muay Thai aspect, if he'd have stayed with like doing Muay Thai and all that, he probably wouldn't have gone as far. But with the MMA, he's got that character. He's got that, they call it like a star factor, don't they? He's got the star factor, and he's doing well.
And what about the elbows to the body?
So I always say to the lads in the gym, like, don't make me do anything too crazy, you know, on the run up to a fight, because my body will just remember it in the fight and try and do it. So we never even practiced that. I don't know where that came from. I think someone must have said it in the rules meeting, but no, you can actually elbow to the body, and that was it then. Just tried something new.
Would you describe yourself as an emotional fighter?
Not usually. I'm usually too relaxed. But I think that last fight, I was a little bit like, I was like showing a bit more of like a front. I think more so that last fight, I probably was a bit more emotional, but that was because like I'd had a long time off, and I found it difficult having time off, you see. So I was excited to get back in. And then like the whole, I don't know, yeah. I'm not an emotional fighter, no. It's a good question, that, because I'm not normally an emotional fighter, but on that last fight, I was a little bit. I was like, do you know? It sounds so stupid, but I went in the back and I cried after that fight, which I've never done before. I actually it was like a massive relief, do you know? But so we talk about emotion, like you must have come across in my fight, but I've never done that before ever, and I was like, it was like a big release, you know. When I fought, I was like, I can still fight, because it'd been a full year, and for me, like, I've been really active since I've started. So since like I first started fighting, I was having 5-6 fights a year, and then having to be forced to take over a year. It was like 14-15 months off. So
talk to me about that then. Obviously the loss to Nico, which is, let's face it, that propelled him to another level, and obviously you were unfortunately the guy on the other side of that loss. To have something on that stage, seeing a load of clips reshared, what does that do to your ego? What does it do? How do you process that? How do you get over that?
So, do you know what? It wasn't the KO loss, because I'd been KO'd once before in Italy by a Thai. In the same thing, first round, got clipped in ropes, couldn't recover, and he just jumped all over me and put me away, you see. So it wasn't the knockout, because I'm not stupid. I've had 50 fights. You're gonna get KO'd. Luckily, I've only ever been KO'd twice. I think that's like pretty good, to be honest. I don't get stopped really. So it wasn't the KO loss that was the problem. It was the fact I was forced to have time off. So it wasn't like, oh, I got knocked out, get back to the drawing board. I got caught with something, you know. He's powerful. He's a strong fighter. Be able to reassess. It was the fact that I went from that. I had to go to the hospital and go have surgery, and then I was out the game for couldn't do anything for 6 months. And not only like is it the training side that suffered, it's like my job as well, isn't it? I'm full time with the gym, full time fighting. So that was more the difficult bit, more than anything, than the actual knockout itself.
And you said after your last win, obviously a big outpouring of emotion. Connecting that to the time off, were there any moments where you thought you might not come back, or maybe a bit of doubt crept into your mind?
Definitely doubt. I think that's what affected me. I worried about where my ability was. So I got knocked out, and then I thought, to me, and this sounds, obviously as a fighter you've got to believe in yourself, but I thought I would beat Nico comfortably. I thought round 1 and 2, get past that, he's powerful. And then I thought I just had too much for him. I thought as I got rolling, as it got going, I'd be too much for him. I knew the danger in that fight was, if he catches me early, he's going to catch me. If I can get it into them later rounds, I'd be okay. And I felt like my plan was working, what I was going to do was going to work, and then all of a sudden you get, oh, you know what I mean? I've been KO'd. So doubt going into my next fight. I was worried about taking punches. I was like, kind of, you know, with punch resistance and stuff like that, but I was fine.
What lessons do you think that taught you then, that someone, fighter or not, just someone who has dealing with a setback in their career, in sport, whatever, what lessons did you learn from that period that they could probably apply?
You're going to have setbacks all the time. That's not even the first. That was not like the first one I've had. I've had losses. I've fought for world titles and lost to Thais. You've just got to keep going. For me, the sport is who you fight. It's not. I want to get to the end of fighting and look back and be able to go, didn't duck anyone. I want my body to be spent, which I'm going on the right way to do that. You've got to get over these things, and if you can't get over these things, like you might be in the wrong sport. A fighter to me is like, you're not really a fighter till you've had a big setback or a big loss and gone, oh, you know, dusted yourself off and got back to it. That's the whole reason. That's being a fighter, isn't it? It's not like, oh yeah, I'll just beat everyone up and then when I have a loss I don't want to do it anymore. That's like the opposite of being a fighter. That's like being a bully, isn't it, really?
So has there been a moment in your career where you went from, and it might have been when you were already professional, but where you went from almost sort of turning up to training, going through the motions, to a time where you're leveled up and you feel as though your ability significantly improved?
Yeah, I think I was quite lucky. I was a gas engineer before, and I had really good bosses. They like dead easy going, let me do this. Oh, can I have a day off to go fight? Oh, day to go weigh in. And I was saying to him, like I want to progress, do this fighting. I had big fights coming up. It was like just on the edge of where I was getting to fight like abroad more. And I said like I want to do this, I want to do that. And he let me go part-time with both. So I was like part-time with the gym, doing like a couple of days working in the gym and training, and then part-time doing 3 days of each, part-time with the gas engineering. And I spoke to him and I was like, oh, I've got this opportunity where I might be able to like, you know, do a lot more. And he said like, oh, you're only young once. And that was like it for me. That was like, oh right, well, yeah, if I wait 5 years and I want to do it, it's probably a little bit too late. I only get this chance to do it like now, really. So that was probably the point where I was like, right, I've got to take my training seriously. And then that was also the point where I was like, I'll just fight anyone. Like, even people I've fought that have been killers and I've had a really hard time against, I've still come away from the fight and gone, oh, that was really good. I've never had a fight where I've thought, even Nico, for example, I got KO'd and like it was a bit hard at first, but I look back at it, I'd do it again, you know what I mean?
So, I mean, that's pretty amazing that you had people around you to support, which is a lot of people are lacking at that age.
Especially my boss as well, like he lost one of his engineers to he probably was sick of me, to be fair, which wanted rid of me.
In terms of pursuing your dream, how long have you been aware that what you're doing is actually the thing that you're genuinely passionate about, and how important is it to do something like that at a young age?
Yeah, you've got to find something. For me, I never really had the realisation. Some people say like I'm obsessed and stuff. I probably am. Like I'll go home and I'm watching fights constantly. I watch 5-6 fights a day. I'll be up late watching fights and I'm like, I need to fucking go sleep here. I've got to be up at 6. If you get good at something as well, I always say this is important with my little lad. Like I don't mind if he doesn't want to fight. He's got to. I want him to like him to train, but he's got to find something to get good at. Because once you learn how to get good at something, you can apply that to everything else really. Even if it's a musical instrument, I think musical instruments are really good if you can get good at a musical instrument. And like, you can. It's the process of learning, isn't it? That I think's important. Not necessarily being really good at something. It's the process of learning and being disciplined to get to a certain level at something or a higher level at something.
So when you're coaching, and I presume coaching will be something you continue doing once you've hung up the gloves, what important things do you think it is for students of Muay Thai to learn early?
Learn early, fundamentals, yeah. Like get your stance and your base sorted and your hand position, and like go slow. A lot of people want to come in the gym and learn how to do spinning elbows and jumping knees to the head straight away. Like start slow. If you want to take it far, you have to start slow. And defense as well. I think sometimes defense is taught too late. Like people want to teach you all this attacking stuff, and like defense is twice as important for me than attacking.
People before say that coaching has helped them in their fighting, be that MMA or Thai boxing. Have you found that to be the case? And if so, what do you learn from your students? The
coaching aspect of it, I have to have a reason for everything. So when I first was taught, some people sometimes were like, this is the way you do it. And I'd be like, yeah, but why? I've seen someone else do it a different way. No, this is the way, they're wrong. But I've learned that's not true in any part of Muay Thai. Like, depending on how tall you are or what build you are, you do things completely differently. I won't ever teach almost the same person to the same technique. I'll teach them both ways, but I'll say, this way might not suit you. This way will suit you better. And then whichever way they use is their own style, isn't it? So for me, I've had to been able to explain techniques and reasons behind techniques better.
And finally, if you're speaking to your boy or you're speaking to an adult who's maybe expressed some interest in Muay Thai, what would you say to them to sell them the sport, and what do you tell them that Muay Thai will give them?
Confidence, that's the main thing. If you just want to get into it for the fact of like discipline and self-confidence and the ability to be able to just handle yourself, because that's a massive, it's a freeing thing to be able to not be scared to voice your opinion because you might feel like, oh, this person can beat me up. or they just don't agree with me. And that confidence of like, I can back myself up really. I think that's a massive thing, and a lot of people need that in their life. Like I think I've had that a lot earlier in my life. I'd have been a completely different person in some ways, you know what I mean?
How did it change you personality-wise then?
It made me nicer. Like I had an outlet for the ring gave me an outlet for any kind of aggression I had, and then I was much nicer in my everyday life.